Hello everybody. So today's video is about absolute value equations. I hope you guys remember absolute value equations. Pretty easy to solve. There are just a couple of things to remember. Inequalities won't be much different as well. So let's go through, we'll cover a few examples and we'll be done with the video. Once you're done with the video, please go over 6.5a worksheet. That will probably be today if you are able to complete it, and the next day will be 6.5b. So you will experience just different examples of solving absolute value equations. Now, as a reminder, when we're talking about absolute value, you guys know we're talking about distance from zero. So you can go, if you're right here, imagine you're right here and this is your road, and you decide to go west. You go 4 units to west. Or you decide to go to east, you go 4 units east. And so even if on the number line, this one it says -4 and this one it says +4, it doesn't matter which one of those two numbers are inside the absolute value, the always will be always positive. You always go 4 miles away, right, from the zero. You don't go -4 miles, you go 4 miles to east, 4 miles to west. So that's why when we do the association between the absolute value and distance, we see the common thing is the positive number that we get. So the absolute value of number could be written as x equals +4, x equals -4, one of those two. But when you plug in the numbers inside the absolute value, the answer is always positive number. And this is the rule we are going to apply to solve the equations. So we will separate each one of the absolute value equations into two parts, and first part will be exactly the same as what is given, and the second part will be what is inside the absolute value but equal to the negative of that number. So let's take a look at the first example. X minus 3 equals 8. So we're going to separate this as x minus 3 equals 8, one equation, and x minus 3 equals -8, second equation. So please pay attention to the difference. First one, we need to solve those, of course. So +3 plus 3, those two cancel. X will be equal to 11. That will be my first solution. Second solution, +3 plus 3 on each side, x equals -5, second solution. So you can substitute x with 11 here, 11 minus 3, and you will get absolute value of 8 is equal 8. You can substitute x with -5, -5 minus 3 is -8, but the absolute value of -8 is equal +8. So every time you find the solutions, if you want, you can plug in back to the original equation and see if you will get the right answer, or the number that is given on the right side of the equation. Okay, next one, absolute value of x 15 will be x equals 15, then x equals -15. So either one of those will be solutions to our equation. Okay, number 2. Absolute value of 4x plus 1 first will be equal to +15, and then 4x plus 1 will be equal to -15. So solving each one of those independently, -1, 4x is equal 14. Then we'll divide by 4 each one, and x will be equal, I would say 3 2/4, or 3 1/2, if you can rewrite this as an improper fraction. Or I think as an answer, this also could be equal to 3.5 as a decimal number. So either one of those will be correct. Second equation, -1, 4x is equal -16, divide by 4 each side, so x equals -4 will be your second solution to that. Now, let's take a look at the next example. We have 3 times absolute value of something equals 18. Now, I can't just separate those and start solving, and the reason I can't do that because I have number outside of the absolute value, which means First, you want to cancel this number that is outside the absolute value, and then you can separate into two equations. So how do we cancel that? If it's 3 times absolute value, we will divide by 3 each one of the sides. 3 and 3 will cancel now, and we're going to have absolute value of 2x minus 2 equals 18 divided by 3 is 6. This is an example of absolute value equals to a positive number, which is perfectly good, and we can just separate and rewrite this as a 2x minus 2 equals 6 and 2x minus 2 equals negative 6. Once we have the two equations written down, final step will be to solve each one. So plus 2, those two cancel, 2x equals 8. Then we will divide by 2 and x equals 4 as the first solution. Second solution, plus 2, those two cancel, 2x will be equal to negative 4. Final step, divide by 2, so x equals negative 2 will be my second solution. With that, we will complete the example. So, I know I'm going a little bit faster here because we already learned and we talk a lot how to solve the equations, but if you guys still need to review that and go slower, please rewatch the video. So don't try to follow me and say, oh, I didn't get it, because you have the power to press the pause button or just start from the beginning and redo the example. I'm moving to the last few examples. So another example similar to the previous, again, is number times absolute value equals 2. Step 1, we want to divide by 2. We want to cancel that, and we're going to have absolute value of m minus 5 equals 1. Then we'll separate into two equations, m minus 5 equals 1 and m minus 5 equals negative 1. Solve each one of those. So plus 5 here, plus 5 over here, plus 5 here, plus 5 over here. This cancel, m equals 6, and this cancel, m equals 4. We got the two solutions, and with that, the problem solved. Next example, we have absolute value minus 5 equals 3. So again, our goal is to save the absolute value, but we want to get rid of this number. So if it's minus 5, the opposite will be plus 5 on each side. Those two cancel. What is left is absolute value of y plus 6 equals 8. Separate into two equations now. Y plus 6 equals 8 and y plus 6 equals negative 8. Solve the equations, minus 6, so y equals 2, and minus 6, y equals negative 14. Once you get your two answers, your problem is completed. Final example that has absolute value equations with a little bit more than 2 or 3 steps. So let's take a look at this. Now imagine this is one whole thing. So we have negative 3 minus this absolute value minus 7 equals negative 10. Just like when we're solving equations, first number that needs to go away will be the one that is subtracted or added through the absolute value. So we will begin with negative 7 to cancel this. We will do plus 7 on each side. Those two cancel. Negative 3 times n plus 2 is equal to negative 3. Next step, we will divide by negative 3 each side. Those two cancel. So absolute value of n plus 2 is equal to positive 1. Once we have absolute value equals to a positive number, the final thing is to separate this, and we're going to say n plus 2 equals 1, n plus 2 equals negative 1. And we're going to solve the equation, so minus 2, n is equal to negative 1, minus 2, n is equal to negative 3. That will be the final answer for this example. And before we go and continue the work with the worksheet practice examples, I just want to kind of add something quickly. If you have given absolute value, for example, 3x plus 5 equals negative 3. I want you to be very careful with this, because if this is the problem given and you gotta solve it, the answer here will be no solution. Now, why is that? Well, the answer is like this because we can't have absolute value equals to a negative number. Absolute value itself, this whole thing, cannot be equal negative number. This is just wrong, not possible. All absolute values should be equal to a positive number, to a positive number, equals to a positive number. This is the only way we can find out the solutions and work the examples. Okay, so thank you for watching the video. Have a great day, everybody, and let me know if you have questions.